Chosen one, listen, not because you happen to have a few spare minutes, but because this moment carries a calling that should not be treated as something passing. I am Michael, sent to speak to you with kindness, because there are times when God places before you a very personal reminder, not loud, not forceful, but deep enough for the hidden part of you to recognize that you are standing before an important threshold. What is being spoken now is not meant to glorify your perfection, but to confirm the quiet faithfulness you have kept through seasons no one witnessed. Through days when you still chose tenderness, even though you had every reason to become closed off. Beloved child, God has seen the gentleness still alive within you after everything that once made you weary. Many people lose their purity when they pass through waiting, but there is still a small light within you that refuses to go out. You were once bent by circumstances, but you did not allow bitterness to become your home. You once doubted, but you still continued to seek. You once stood very close to the edge of giving up, but in a deep corner of your heart, you still spoke with sincerity. That is what drew heaven's attention, not certainty that never trembles, but faithfulness still breathing beneath the weight of testing. I want you to understand that what God is preparing does not come to overwhelm you, nor does it come as a burden beyond your strength to carry. It is measured according to your own journey, arranged to fit what you have learned, endured, and grown through. There were doors that did not open before, not because you were rejected, but because the timing was not yet right. The necessary maturity had not yet been formed, and the peace within you was not yet deep enough for you to step through without losing yourself. Now, what once seemed impossible is drawing near, not through chaos, but through a gentle order from God. Therefore, remain in this holy attentiveness. Do not take lightly the small qualities you have preserved: kindness after being wounded, prayer in silence, courage when no one knew, faithfulness when there was no clear sign. Those things have become a key in your hand. Pay not so you may boast, but so you may recognize that God can use the very part of you that you once thought was weakest to open a new season. Stand firm, beloved child, because what has been prepared for you does not need to resemble anyone else's story. It bears your own mark, and when the time opens, you will understand that not one drop of your waiting has been wasted. The room around you is more sacred than its quiet appearance, because the presence from heaven has just entered the place where you are sitting. My beloved child, I, Michael, draw near to you not to offer a passing word of encouragement, but to confirm what God has seen throughout the long season you silently endured. The words spoken in this hour are not meant to excite you for a moment and then leave you to return to your old weariness. They come to name what is happening within you, so you may understand that this season is unlike any season you have ever walked through. A hidden formation is taking place, a deep work that the eyes of others have not yet seen, but heaven has long recorded. Remain in this stillness, because by the end of this message, you will understand more clearly why the recent days have carried such an unusual feeling. I will place into your hands a simple 7-word practice for you to hold for 21 days like a breath of faith. I am here. Remain at peace. Child, let those 7 words become the place you return to whenever your heart is unsettled, whenever the old darkness tries to convince you that nothing is changing. You do not need to do something great to prove you are ready. You only need to be faithful to the small piece entrusted to you each day, until what is being formed within you becomes steady, deeply rooted, and no longer easily shaken. There is a seal being placed down in silence, without noise, without display, yet stronger than every voice that once made you doubt yourself. That seal names what God is doing through your one and only life. It does not place pressure on you to become someone foreign to yourself, but confirms that you, with the weariness that has been healed, with the tears that have been seen, with the endurance that has been tested, are being built to carry a light that cannot easily be extinguished. Dawn does not wake the world immediately with noise. It begins by causing the darkness to fade little by little, before anyone can name what is happening. And that is exactly what is taking place within you. The heavy places did not leave with a loud echo, but they have quietly been losing their power throughout the time when you thought you were only waiting. The years when no one watched. The prayers that seemed to fall into a room with no echo. The nights when you cried very softly, so no one would know. All of them were seen by God. I say to you gently, the darkness has not won. It is only fading. And your dawn has already begun. You have carried a very specific burden, not a vague tiredness, and not a wound that can easily be placed into the familiar patterns the world often uses to explain pain. I, Archangel Michael, draw near to you with kindness to say that you have not imagined it. There are things in your life that took place not according to how others saw them, but according to how they truly touched you in the most hidden places. Outwardly, everything may still have looked normal. You kept walking, kept doing what needed to be done, kept a calm expression so no one would have to worry. But within, you carried an emptiness no one named correctly, a weight no one fully recognized. And because no one saw it, you once began to doubt your own feelings. I want you to hear this clearly. That absence is real. The fact that others do not see it does not mean it does not exist. The fact that they do not understand does not mean you are exaggerating. There are eyes that can only see the surface, only recognize things with clear shape, only respond when pain has already found a voice. But what you carried was quieter, deeper, more subtle. It does not always appear as tears, does not always become a complaint, does not always have one single event to point to and say, this is the cause. And because of that, you have been lonely in a very different way. Lonely because you could not describe what you were missing. There is a kind of loneliness heavier than being alone. It is when you are among others, yet still feel that a part of you has never truly been touched. You may achieve many things. Step into new relationships. Rest. Change environments. Seek things that help you feel lighter. But deep within, there is still a call that has not been answered. Not because you are ungrateful, and not because you do not value what you have. It is simply that one part of your journey has been left empty for too long. And nothing temporary can replace what truly belongs to you. But now, what has not yet been named will begin to have a name, not to pull you back into sorrow, but to release you from the vagueness that made you blame yourself for too long. When a heaviness is named correctly, it begins to lose its authority in the dark. When you understand what you have carried, you no longer have to interpret your life through shame or confusion. I am standing near you in this moment to remind you that heaven does not overlook the things no one else sees. What belongs to you to receive in this time deserves to be recognized. deserves to be healed and deserves to be placed under the light. Remain in peace, beloved child, because what once had no name within you is being brought out of darkness and into clarity, order, and restoration. What you are being invited to receive in this moment deserves to be named beloved child, so that your remaining here will not be an unconscious act of passing by, but an intentional choice before what God is opening. I, Michael, stand near you in kindness to remind you that not every hour carries the same weight. There are periods that seem like the ordinary flow of life, but there are also hours set apart like a doorway where, if you know how to stop, listen, and open your heart, you will recognize things that have been covered through many seasons of waiting. When this message reaches its fullness, you will not merely hear a few more words of comfort. You will be led into deeper layers of understanding, so you may know why the present season is different from every season before it. There were things you once called delays, yet they carried a meaning for which you did not yet have language. There were years when you thought you were being held back, but from above, they were being used to arrange, refine, and protect you from what did not yet fit the good path prepared for you. When light is placed upon those seasons, you will no longer see them as emptiness, but as the quiet preparation for something greater. I will also lead you to look at sacred stories that have been preserved through time, not so you may admire them from a distance, but so you may recognize the shape of your own journey within them. There were people who passed through silence, misunderstanding, delay, and hidden places before being brought to the right position. You will see that you are not the first person to wait through tears, nor are you the only one who has ever wondered why your door had not yet opened. Those examples will help you understand that God often prepares the chosen in hidden places before placing them in the light. Then you will be given a small but profound practice, a rhythm of life to carry with you through the coming days, not as a heavy ritual, but as a way to help you return to peace, wakefulness, and faithfulness each day. When you repeat it with sincerity, day by day, you will see your inner life being rearranged, the old noises becoming softer, and new clarity beginning to grow. Finally, a seal will be placed in stillness. No haste is needed. No display is needed. No emotion needs to be forced. You only need to remain with me in softness and attentiveness. What is being given is not small, nor is it shallow. Stay until the end, beloved child, because there are hours that do not open fully for those who leave too soon. Now, I want to begin exactly where we must begin, not with what you are about to receive, but with what you have silently walked through. Beloved child, I, Michael, see your journey not as a sequence of meaningless pain, but as living evidence that a revelation is being prepared to open in your life. What you endured is not merely the background of the story, it is the mark, confirming that you have been preserved through places where many others might have given up. There were seasons when you did not understand why you had to carry so much, why that burden did not become lighter with time, but instead seemed to grow deeper, heavier, and harder to name. I know there were very early mornings, when the whole world was still silent, and you sat there with thoughts you did not dare speak aloud. I also know the late nights, when the room held only the sound of your sighs, and you asked yourself how much longer you would have to wait. How much longer before something truly moved? How much longer before the tears, the efforts, the times when you chose to believe without seeing results, would begin to give birth to something you could see, touch, and hold in your heart? You did not always say that question aloud, but the high heavens heard even the words you swallowed in silence. Understand that the burden you carried was not created to crush you, but to teach you to recognize the strength being formed in the hidden place. There are things that, if you do not understand their purpose, will only look like pressure, but when light touches them, you will recognize that that very pressure refined your endurance, humility, discernment, and a faith no longer based entirely on what the eyes can see. You have learned to keep walking without applause, to keep praying without a clear answer, to keep sowing what is good before the harvest has appeared. Therefore, do not think your waiting time is proof that you have been forgotten. No. Beloved child, that waiting is testifying that you have been carefully prepared. There are blessings that, if they came too early, would overwhelm you. But when they come in the right season, they will meet a person who has been made steady from within. What you have walked through has enlarged your capacity, taught you to stand in deeper peace, and made you less easily shaken by outside voices. Now, I want you to look back, not with regret, but with the recognition that every difficult stretch of the road had meaning. The question, how much longer, was not ignored by heaven. It was held, placed under care, and is moving closer to the answer at the right time. Be at peace, my child. What you have carried has not been useless. What you have endured has not been forgotten. And what you have waited for is being placed in order to enter your life in a way that will help you understand that every previous season has led you to this moment. You have passed through seasons when the silence of the Most High lasted so long that you once wondered whether it was still fair to you. I, Michael, draw near to you in this hour to remind you that those months and days have not been forgotten, even though in your eyes they may have seemed like heavy emptiness. You stood there, watching others move forward in the very areas where you still had to wait. You witnessed doors opening for them while your own door remained quiet. You smiled, blessed them, and kept walking, though inside there were times when holding on to faith felt like a silent task that exhausted you. There were seasons when you were not only waiting for something to happen, but also fighting not to lose your tenderness while you waited. You had to lift yourself back up when there was no clear confirmation. You had to keep believing when your circumstances gave you little evidence. You had to keep your heart pure when delay made you vulnerable, made you prone to doubt, made you think you had been left behind. But I want you to understand that endurance is not small. Every day you still chose to stand. Every time you did not let disappointment turn you bitter. Every step you took before seeing the whole road was recorded by heaven. And then, recently, without a loud trumpet, without a crowd applauding, without a complete map being placed before you, you shifted. Perhaps it was only a quiet decision, a release in your heart, a choice not to return to the old thing, a more sincere prayer, or a small step no one else noticed. But in divine order, that step carried more weight than you realized. It placed you in a new position, drew you out of the old cycle, and brought you to the exact point where this message could find you today. I do not yet need to tell you everything that step has activated, because there are things that must be opened layer by layer so you can receive them in peace. But I want you to pay attention to the signs around the time you shifted. Perhaps the atmosphere around you changed very slightly. Perhaps you became less able to tolerate things that were once familiar. Perhaps a few connections began to loosen. A small opportunity appeared. A dream became clearer. Or your heart suddenly felt an urge to prepare that even you could not yet explain. Do not underestimate those movements. True activations often do not come with noise. They come in stillness, in signs easily dismissed as coincidence, in small changes repeated enough for the awakened person to recognize that the hand of God is arranging things. Therefore, beloved child, slow down and observe. Do not rush to deny what you are sensing simply because it has not yet taken full shape. Your step has opened a new flow of movement. And what is about to be revealed will help you understand that not one season of silence in your life was meaningless. The first change you may recognize is a very deep peace settling down. Not loud, not dramatic, but clear enough for you to know that something within you has stopped being so tense. Beloved child, I, Michael, want you to understand that this peace is not a passing emotion, nor is it a pleasant moment that comes and disappears. It is like the gentle hand of the realm of light being placed upon the place where you had to brace yourself for too long. A cord within you had been stretched tight through many seasons of anxiety, waiting, and self-protection, but now it is beginning to loosen. You may not yet know what to call it, but you have felt it, a quiet space beneath all the noise, a lighter breath, a softening where there was once only pressure. Then the second change begins to appear in the way you can no longer tolerate the things that were once considered normal. Not because you have become difficult to approach, and not because you lack patience, but because you have outgrown the old mold. Conversations that once did not trouble you now make you feel pulled in a direction that no longer fits. Environments that once felt familiar now seem like an old garment made for a smaller version of you. I do not want you to feel guilty for this. When you are lifted into clarity, you cannot continue remaining in places that require you to shrink. Stay silent before what is wrong, or trade peace just to keep what is familiar. From there, the third change emerges like a new direction, gradually appearing out of the mist. You may not yet see the entire road, may not know how every detail will be arranged, but within you, there begins to be a different sense of positioning than before. It is like a compass that once spun endlessly in confusion is now quietly coming to rest, pointing towards something truer. You do not need to know all the answers immediately. What matters is that you are beginning to feel the new rhythm, a gentle yet persistent pull leading you out of the old fog and toward a place with more order, purity, and alignment with your calling. And then the fourth change comes very quietly. You no longer feel the same need to explain yourself to everyone as you once did. A quiet confidence is forming beneath the things you do not yet fully understand. You no longer need everyone to agree before you dare to walk forward. You no longer need to turn every choice you make into a long defense so you can be accepted. A firm foundation is being laid within you where there was once hesitation. I am reminding you that this is a sign of spiritual maturity. You are being led out of dependence on outside voices, so you can learn to stand firm in the light that has been placed within you. This is not a sign of confusion, beloved child, but evidence that something deep in your journey has truly moved. I am Michael, and I want you to hear this in peace. The unfamiliar feelings appearing around you have not come to frighten you, but to let you know that you have crossed an important threshold. Outwardly, everything may not yet have changed clearly, but within you, the old rhythm no longer operates as before. The things that once made you hesitate are losing strength. The voices that once pulled you back are fading. What you feel now is your life readjusting after you made a step that heaven recognized. You must understand that the unseen realm often recognizes movement before the visible world has time to display results. So do not rush to doubt just because you have not yet seen everything change immediately. A door may have already opened in the secret place before you see it with your eyes. An arrangement may have begun before you receive the first news. A flow may have changed direction before outward circumstances reflect it. You are in a very sacred in-between place, where the decision has been recorded, but the results are still being formed. That is why you feel more sensitive, more awake, sometimes more restless. Not because you are lost, but because your life is beginning to align with a new order. And this is the first thing you need to hold tightly. The step you just took was not the random beginning of something new, but the completion of a process that had been built within you for a long time. You thought you had only just made a decision, but in truth, heaven had been quietly preparing you through many seasons of waiting. Many tests, many painful yet deep lessons, and many times when you thought you were being delayed, but were actually being made steady. What you did today is the flower blossoming from seeds planted long ago. Therefore, do not ask yourself whether your timing is wrong. You are the right person for this step. This is the right time for this transition, and what you just did is the right step to bring you closer to the portion that has been prepared. Stand still in trust, and do not go back simply because the feeling is unfamiliar. What is changing is not meant to make you lose direction, but to bring you onto the right path. I am walking with you, keeping you steady, and reminding you that what has begun in the spiritual realm will soon find its way to be expressed in your life through light, peace, and clear confirmation. Some of you have recognized that your prayers no longer feel the same as before, no longer filled with bargaining, pleading, or the effort to pull heaven into answering in the way you want. I am Michael, drawing near to you with kindness to say that this change is not a sign that you have given up, nor is it evidence that your faith has grown weak. You are simply entering a deeper level of rest, where prayer is no longer a struggle to persuade God, but becomes the place where you rest your head upon His faithfulness. Before, you may have prayed with all urgency, repeating the same thing over and over, afraid that if you stopped speaking, stopped reminding, stopped pressing, the thing you were waiting for would be forgotten. But now, something within you has slowed down. You no longer feel the need to use so many words to prove your pain. You no longer try to explain every detail as though God has not seen it. You begin to sit more still, breathe more deeply, and even though the answer has not fully appeared, you still sense that you do not need to wrestle as before. Beloved child, do not fear that quieting. There are times when mature prayer does not sound like an urgent cry, but like a gentle surrender. You did not create this shift by yourself. It came to you little by little, silently, through nights when you were too tired to know what else to say, through mornings when you could only place your hand on your chest and whisper very softly that you are still here, still believing, still wanting to follow God, even though you do not understand everything. In those very moments, God did not see you as depleted. He saw someone ceasing to use their own strength to hold on to the promise. He saw someone learning to open their hands, not because the desire was gone, but because they had finally begun to believe that what is good does not need to be gripped tightly in order to come. I know you once wondered whether you were becoming passive. You worried that not pleading as intensely as before meant you had lost your fire. You worried that this new calm was only a sign of exhaustion, a kind of tiredness covered with an appearance of acceptance. But I say to you, lay that fear down right now. What is happening in your prayer life is not a fading out, but an arrival. You have passed through long waves of expectation, swum through many waters of confusion, fought against the inner voice that said, if you did not try harder, everything would vanish. And then you arrived in another place, a place where you no longer need to cry out loudly in order to be heard by God, because you have begun to believe that He heard you before you even found the words to speak. This rest does not oppose faith. It is the ripe fruit of faith that has been refined over a long time. When you were in the early stage, you prayed with urgency because you needed support, so you would not collapse. God did not despise that stage. He listened to every sigh, every plea for help, every time you prayed in tears. But now, He is teaching you another rhythm, not the rhythm of someone who has given up, but the rhythm of someone who knows that God's hand is working even when their eyes have not yet seen movement. You stopped striving in prayer right in the season when God began arranging many things behind the curtain. These two things are not separate. When you stop trying to control how the answer must come, you create space for God to bring what exceeds your old patterns. Look at your hands. Beloved child, a clenched hand may look strong, but it cannot receive anything more. It holds. It tightens. It fears loss. It strains until it turns white. But an open hand may seem softer, and yet that very hand can receive. God is not asking you to stop longing for what is good. He is only inviting you to stop holding on through fear. He is not telling you to stop praying. He is teaching you to pray from a place of peace instead of from a place of panic. He is not taking away your voice. He is making that voice purer, less mixed with anxiety, and fuller of trust. So when you realize that your prayers have become shorter, deeper, and quieter, do not quickly accuse yourself. Perhaps you only need to sit in the presence of God and let your heart rest. Perhaps the truest prayer today is not a long list, but a quiet yes. Perhaps what God wants to hear from you is not one more explanation of your pain, but the trust that He has known, has seen, and is caring for every detail. I, Michael, remind you gently, you are not losing your fire. You are being led out of strain. You are not moving away from God. You are learning to be near Him without fear. Open your hands. Beloved child, what God is preparing does not need you to grip tightly in order to come. It will arrive at the right time, and your open hands will be ready to receive it in peace.